All right, we are live. As you guys are well aware, each and every week I try and get a person who I believe in the fitness industry is worth their weight in gold. Today I have my friend, Jay Benedetti. I think the best thing that I can do is throw it over to him so he can introduce himself, and then we'll obviously roll with some of the questions that we do each and every week. So Jay, over to you, mate.
How's it going, Andy? Thank you, obviously, for inviting me along to do this. Quite new to me, but I'm always happy to help. So, as you said, Jay Benedetti, personal trainer since 2010, owner of Onpoint, which is my own company here with my wife, Sian. We are a health and fitness facility in Hertfordshire. Formerly, we sort of launched it in Shoreditch in London back in 2012. And it's kind of grown from there and eventually moved, as did us as a family, to Hertfordshire and started again. My background comes from sport, started kickboxing when I was 7 years old. Learned the martial art of Kung Fu and quickly developed into sparring, and that developed into competing. So sort of spent my whole childhood doing that. Was fortunate enough to be selected for the GB squad, and also fortunate enough to therefore travel the world competing. And with that came a few British and international titles. Fast forward to 2009, joined the gym, got into weight training, got myself a personal trainer, entered being competitive, entered a little body transformation comp called Maxi Muscle Body in 2009, and I won. And it just kind of developed from that, really. I've gone from training myself to training clients to, you know, creating something where I've got people training people, and yeah, you know, it's kind of rolling with the punches.
Yeah. Cool. As people might be aware on the group, we've obviously worked quite closely together. We run a fitness retreat every year in Cyprus, Ibiza, and various locations. I obviously worked at your facility in Shoreditch, which to this day, I continuously tell people it's one of the best environments I've ever worked in. I suppose the first question that I'd always ask you, and it's something that we discuss quite a lot privately in our own little socials and over the phone, is you've owned a gym in London, you're now owning a gym in Hertfordshire, and I suppose what I'd want to get across to people is what is the reality of owning your own studio or working within your own facility? Because obviously it looks nice and crystal, everyone wants to do it, but there's a big differentiation between being a personal trainer to now running a whole facility. What would be your perspectives on this if you was to tell the guys about it, if they were thinking about doing something like this?
Don't.
I don't expect anything less from you, mate.
Look, to be honest, okay, so I was doing well as a personal trainer. Sian was doing well as a personal trainer. We thought, right, let's come together. You know, we started seeing each other, so it kind of made sense to sort of develop our own things into one thing. And I was working at a private studio where it's getting a bit run down. I was thinking about leaving, and then just massively by chance, the opportunity come up to buy it off him. I never had any money, mate. So I asked a few clients, can you help out? They paid up front, and we kind of got it going from there, you know. But so I've been learning kind of on the job, which, as I have done in pretty much every job I've ever had. You know, as you know, I was a carpenter before I became a personal trainer. I learned that on the job as well. Someone gave me a chance. Never went to college, or, you know, never done too well at school. But so I had to use that way of learning, and that's what happened with the gym. And now, then, you know, all of a sudden, the idea of owning the gym seems great, but then the reality hits home. And one of those things was expenses. Like, you know, when I was a personal trainer, you know, you do X amount of clients a week, so does Sian, and all that money goes into one pot, and you just have to pay your rent. And then obviously you have to afford the lifestyle you choose to live. But now on top of that, I had electricity, you know, water, paying the cleaner, and then, you know, making sure the equipment's running well and refurbed. And then you quickly realize, like, if I just run this gym off of training my clients, I'm going to quickly end up with no money. So we had to come up with a model, which luckily we had and just elaborated on, which was allowing trainers to come in and pay rent to use the facility. And that kind of generated enough income to cover expenses. And then we could start again with building our own business on the side of that. But yeah, mate, expenses was a massive smack in the face. Maintenance, you know, luckily I'm quite handy with DIY, but you know, we've had that gym in Shoreditch flooded, the showers broke down, and you know, this is the reality, right? So the showers get blocked with hair and there's no one there to fix it, but I've got a load of clients who are like, I need to use the shower, so I'm like dressed in my personal training uniform, pulling hair out of the drains. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And that's what it is about. You have to get your hands dirty, be willing to get your hands dirty and muck in. You know, the other lesson I learned was I ended up being dragged away from what I know, which is training people, you know? So you have to be prepared for that. You have to be prepared to be the business manager, the personal trainer, and making sure there's enough, you know, business coming through, making sure you've got like a book full of tradesmen who you can call on. Yeah. It messed me up, but it was tough.
I constantly tell people about the environment that you had at Shoreditch, it being one of the best facilities that I've ever worked at. And one of the biggest reasons for that was we could see from the management or the owners who were yourself and Sian, you weren't scared to get your hands dirty if things broke down. And we'd see you in there putting the towels away. We'd see you in there pulling the hair out the drains and stuff. And, you know, I've worked at various studios and that's not the case. You never see the owners. You know, we used to chill together, chat together, and there was a whole little family there. Now, you obviously have two different models now. In Shoreditch, it was very much, I run my own personal training stuff, but you have loads of personal trainers subletting the space, and that kind of caters for the gym. Whereas now it's a completely different model. You've got a little community going on there, and you basically run the facility as Onpoint, and there's no one else there bar maybe one or two that flit in and out. The biggest thing that we always discuss offline is, you know, we've been at various studios and gym owners forget that the people that are subletting from them are also their clients, as well as their own personal training thing that they're doing. Whereas, you know, obviously now you're running a studio where it's all in-house, it's all Onpoint. But I feel like one of the biggest things that made Onpoint Shoreditch the best was you didn't forget that fact. And why do you think so many personal training owners of gyms have these problems? Because I have yet to go to a facility other than Onpoint Shoreditch where the management actually understood this. Yeah.
You know what, mate? I think the fact that Sian and I kind of come from the gym floor, and I say it all the time, you know, we were just personal trainers, and we always had someone who was running the gym or the studio that we were in. And no matter where you go, there's always going to be problems that you can find with that place. But when we started Onpoint, we were just like, right, let's do our best to make this the perfect place for personal trainers to work from. Like I say, it wasn't swanky. We didn't have a lot of money behind it, you know, so all we could do was be the best that we could afford to be, and play to our strengths, which were our personalities and our ability to just get on with people. So, you know, one of the most important things for me was making sure that someone like yourself had everything that they needed. And if they didn't, then I was willing to sit down and discuss that with you. And I would be honest, if it was like, oh, Jay, can we get this piece of equipment? And I'm like, I ain't really got the money for that. Then I'd be honest, you know what I mean? But anything that I think you guys needed or could make your lives and jobs easier was top of my priorities, you know, because if you guys are happy, then your clients are going to be happy, and then everyone's happy. Do you know what I mean? But if I just made it about me and my clients, then and just sort of almost disrespect the fact that you guys are paying us, basically paying for that studio, you know, then I think it would have fell apart quite quick. It would have created a bad atmosphere. And, you know, I'm quite, wear my heart on my sleeve, quite an emotional person. So if I knew that you guys were like talking behind my back and weren't happy and stuff like that, then I would have taken that home. Do you know what I mean? Been quite upset.
One of the big things about Onpoint Shoreditch was the fact that it was an open plan office. You had your office in the social area where we were at. So if I was I'd be like, Jay, what do you think, mate? But I'd ask you like a mate, not like you were my boss. Whereas at other studios that I've been at various, you have to kind of find the owner, and you can't even find them. They've got an office, but they're not even there. And that's when talking behind the back kind of happens, because you don't know who to communicate with. You send an email, you don't get a response back in like a week.
Yeah.
And things need changing and addressing quickly. And that's one of the things that I think, at least I had respect for you with. If something was asked, it'd get done there and then.
Yeah. Mate, I want, you know, the people that we took it over from, they had their office, they were locked away. I thought it was really awkward, you know, having to knock on the door. Can I speak to you about this 20-kilo play? And, you know, it was just weird. And I actually learned that from a Richard Branson book, mate. He was the one who put the idea of an open table in my head. And probably one of the only books I've started and finished, to be honest. But Like a Virgin, I think it's called. But basically he was saying, you know, if I can make people feel like we're mates, then we're going to get on and things are going to get done. I'm no boss. Do you know what I mean? I don't know how to be a boss. I've never really liked having a boss. So all I wanted was people to feel like we were mates. Do you know what I mean? And because of that, we were able to have such good communication between all of us.
Yeah, I mean, like I say to a lot of people, it wasn't one of the best studios in terms of its equipment and its structure, because of it was old and run down and things like that. But the environment, it made me not care about those things, because
it was terrible. Let's not beat around the bush.
You know what I mean?
What I mean? It was bloody on a rough part of Shoreditch with a load of drunk people outside.
But it was iconic. So now you're working up in Hertford. It's a completely different model. Everything's in-house. You have a huge community that is growing. It continues to grow. But I suppose the next question is, speak to those people that we have on our coach cast who are not with the privilege of having London's cosmopolitan, dense amount of population. What are the challenges that you face now away from London? You had a lot of challenges with expenses in London, but now in London, away from London, what's the biggest challenges that you face with your business?
I don't have the volume that we had in London. You know, just that short walk from Liverpool Street to the studio, you walk past hundreds of people. And as we all know, these are people who potentially could do with our help. Yeah. So in terms of that's what made it so expensive when you're trying to market yourself up there, right? Because it was so competitive. But there was enough people to make everyone busy. Then I moved to Hertford, and you know, it's a lovely town in itself. It's on the commuter belt, so kind of had that type of client still living here, but they were working uptown in the day, right? So all we could really do initially was train people before and after work, and it weren't enough. So I sort of started asking questions, asked around, asked people who had done it and done it well, and they all mentioned about building a community. That was new to me, you know what I mean? I was just used to people coming, paying, going, 12 weeks, see you later sort of thing, you know. And then all of a sudden I realized that I've got to get as many people as I can to know about me. So we started, again, just doing what me and Sian do best, and that was talking to people. So we went into town and, you know, went into coffee shops, introduced ourselves. We ended up getting the Onpoint rap up in one of the cafes, you know, so people were constantly saying the name. Making friends with as many people as you can. And it kind of spiraled from there.
Yeah. I mean, obviously the question that's coming up is about community, the value of it. You've kind of touched on it a little bit, but I had a conversation with a young coach the other day who is not struggling. He's a very good coach, but is almost struggling to get a client base going. It's frustrating because he's sitting in the heart of London. And obviously, as we say, people used to knock on the door. There's that much people there, the volume of people there. You shouldn't have that problem.
Yeah.
one thing that I always suggest to people is don't be afraid of giving your time away for free, getting yourself about and just showing people what you can do. Now, you've obviously moved out to the commuter belt, Hertford. Obviously, I'm in Guildford. It's a little more cosmopolitan in Guildford as it's sort of like a city, but you've moved out there and you started a business from scratch. You didn't have one client, whereas the way I've done it, I transitioned over. So we slowly built a client base over here.
Yeah.
Explain to people the value of getting yourself about, giving things away for free. I mean, we've obviously spoken offline about how you gave a boot camp away at the beginning and it rolled from there, but try and shed some light on these topics of, I often sit there on Facebook scrolling and you're like, trying to make business happen. What's the difference between doing that, wasting your time looking at all people's things that they're doing, trying to get your business across, and actually just getting out there and offering your services for free to start things off?
Yeah. Massively valuable, mate. You know, I remember one of my clients saying to me, you know, he'll never forget that hour that I gave to him and Sian gave to his wife initially for free. That has converted into like them being with us ever since, 2-3 times a week. You know, so if you wanna convert that in terms of value for money, like it's in your favor. Yeah, like I say, when we started, I didn't know anyone here. Sian didn't know anyone here, apart from the lady who let us use the unit downstairs. And I was like pumping really hard, like newspapers, social media, everything I thought I needed to do, I was having a go at to just raise a little bit of awareness about us. And Sian was still going back to London, you know, we needed some income. So yeah, basically a whole month, which felt like forever, but I suppose it isn't in the grand scheme of things. I was working for free. We've done a free boot camp, free PT sessions, done some demo stuff in the park and things like that, just to sort of get the name out there. And what I suppose I was doing without realizing that I now realize is a thing is rather than trying to make everyone like you, I just focus now on making a small group of people love me. You know what I mean? Not me personally, but like love what we do. Yeah. And they talk and then their friends talk and then it kind of grows itself. But I still have to put the time and effort in. I still find myself doing free bits. But
I was going to say, like, so you've grown quite a niche community who love the things that you do as a company. Speak to the people about some of the social things that you do to obviously enhance that community, because there's not many companies doing it. It's something that obviously, because we work closely with the fitness retreats, we keep tabs on what you guys do, but you're always doing these social events. How much value has that brought? Because it wasn't something we did so much when we were in London.
Yeah, massively, mate, you know, and you're right, I hardly done anything like that in London, which was a shame because we all a great bunch of people, great bunch of clients, but coming here, you know, and also I think what's changed for me is I've grown up a little bit, I'm getting older and I've started a family and my, what's important to me has changed slightly. And I'm just thinking, right, you know, we've got from like 15 years old, because I train a lot of kids, all the way up to like 62 in terms of age coming here. But if I was to bracket it, I would say it's somewhere between 25 and 45. Now, that age group of people are kind of like, they've had a personal trainer before, they've been members of gyms, you know, they kind of know what they do and don't like. And what they like is doing a bit of fitness and going out at the weekend, right? And just having a life. So what we thought was like, right, let's come away slightly from, it has to be strict diet and you have to train every day and because the reality is I'm dealing with people who just can't fit that sort of volume into or restriction into their schedules, right? So I was like, right, I'll do the best I can in terms of the training and the nutrition, stuff like that, but I've got to give them reason to feel like they're part of something and bring them together and almost use the fitness that they've developed in other ways to show them, because like weight loss and fat loss, as you know, it's the slow game, right? It takes time. So how can I make them realize they're doing well and progressing? So we kind of said, right, we're doing a charity run. Who fancies it? Me and Sian done like a mini Tough Mudder, and then a few clients were like, oh, I fancy doing that with you. Can I come along? And that was like planting the seed, you know. We went from like 5 of us one year to like the last one was 18 of us, you know. And I mean, it's hard enough getting a couple of your mates down the pub. So I felt really proud, like, to do that and see that number grow. And it made me realize these people like the social element. So we've put on something every month now. Do you know what I mean? And tried to make it as varied as possible, from going out for drinks and dinner to doing a Tough Mudder, to doing a 5K, to doing like coastal walks, because what you've got to think is not everyone can do Tough Mudders. Do you know what I mean? So just trying to make it as varied as possible.
It's funny, like, because obviously I'm from a football background. I've always been associated with football teams, and you know, you start pre-season with a group of boys. There's a large group. It funnels down. You almost get your squad later on down in the season, and it settles down. And the only thing they all talk about is the social events.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. When are we all going out, lads? They don't care about the season. It's there. They obviously do care about it, but why is that different when we're running companies and groups of people? So I think it's one of the things that you guys do well. Now, moving on slightly to a different topic, one of the things that I've always loved about Jay Benedetti is the fact that he's never afraid to ask questions when in need of help. And I think it's just like how real you are as a person in terms of your business, who you are, where your areas of weakness are.
Yeah.
But if you were able to ask for help in a certain area where you felt there was a weakness and it would absolutely accelerate your business, where would that area be and where would you search for it?
I think I can think of 2 things really, Andy. You know, one of them would be a personal, one of them would be like business head on.
Uh-huh.
And the business head would be like organization. So like one of my biggest things that I've learned in the last year is how to delegate. So like, I'm such a control freak, mate. I'm used to trying to do it all myself. And now I've realized that, you know, I can't. You can do all the hours under the sun, but eventually you get injured and then you can't work and you realize, wow, no money coming in. So I had to start thinking, right, I've got to build a team. I've got to get someone to help me with the training, someone to help me with the marketing, you know, someone to help me behind the scenes with the accounts and stuff like that. And just accept that I need to do what I do best and get some help with the organization of running the business. In terms of a personal one, I think that would be program design, to be honest, mate. And that's the reason why I'm always on the phone to you and, you know, watching what's on the Coach Cast with yourself and Stephen, because it's very easy to get caught up in the other side of running the business and lose track of what is quite an important thing. Maybe more important to me than it is my customers. I'm yet to determine that one. But just making sure that there is some thought gone into the workouts we do, whether that's our group stuff or our one-to-ones, and I'm doing the right thing and teaching the right things to my coaches so that we are progressing everyone and they are getting good results. And I also I like to know that what's up on the whiteboard kind of makes sense. It's not just, oh, I saw that on YouTube, it looked cool, let's write it up. Sort of thing.
I mean, it's like 2 great points, and I think they're 2 great points that even as myself that I look to improve. Business side, organisation, I'm very much like you. That's why we radiate towards each other, and I like to control everything. And all that does is make me more emotionally attached to the things that I do. And when things don't come off because I'm physically drained, it becomes an emotional problem rather than a business problem. So in the last 6 months, obviously myself and Nat, my business partner, my girlfriend, we've started delegating roles out, and we've got people working for us behind the scenes doing the things that we fucking just don't want to do, so that I can come and do this, what I like doing, chatting and program designing and doing the stuff on the gym floor. So absolutely there with you. In terms of your program design stuff, I feel like it's something that has completely changed over the last 6 months to a year when I've spoken to you. And I just think the biggest thing with yourself is just the realization of who you're catering for and the specific outcome you're trying to achieve. Whereas previously it was always about physique, 12 weeks, the bodybuilding scene that you used to be in. Yeah. And now you're working with people and you quite quickly realize, there's a physique element. Everyone wants to look better, but there's a whole bigger picture here. Like, what are we trying to achieve with people? And secondly, I feel like with your business model now, it's become quite group as well as one-to-one. It's how do you get those things across to an array of qualities that people have, because everyone's got different levels. Yeah. And I think your program design stuff has got better, but it's the same as me. I'm always looking to increase my program design stuff as well. And I just think the biggest thing with program design is not how it's written on paper, it's how you get it across to people. And as you grow your philosophy on what that program design is, it makes it effective in getting it across. And that's the thing that I feel yourself working with you has got better. You understand what you're trying to achieve with people. If you was to change anything, because obviously you've been in the industry like nearly 20 odd years now, you're starting to become a granddad in the industry now. What would you change and why?
Probably taken a bit more time. You know, we had the gym in Shoreditch. We've had 2 gyms in Hertfordshire. You know, and the reality is it has been by chance, and we've had to learn the hard way. We kind of went into it blind. So, you know, I think also, just taking a little bit more time, just sort of going, you know, do I really need to put my life savings and everything into that studio? Or, you know, like when we come to Hertfordshire, one might say like, oh, wow, that's fantastic that you built something from nothing. But then maybe I could have done a little bit more of what you and Nat have done, and it's like dip your toe in, test the water, build a little bit of a client base, and then open a studio. Do you know what I mean? Whereas I've opened the studio and gone, right, shit, now I need to fill it. Yeah. You know, and that's kind of like, that's bit us in the arse a few times, to be honest. But I'm not a patient person, as you know. So that's helped me get things done quick, but it's also taught me some hard lessons, you know. Never look at it as a failure, just more of a lesson. But yeah, just maybe slowing down, building up a few things. Like, you know, it's mad because being a builder, I know foundations, brickwork, then decorate the walls, whereas I kind of went straight into like decorating the walls, you know what I mean? So I would have taken a little bit more time. Because just before we come to Hertfordshire, myself and Sian, you know, on 2 occasions we've had our working visas granted to Australia, and that was what we were going to do, you know. And so twice I've turned that down for the opportunity to run a gym. Sometimes I think, shit, we should have gone, but then, you know, here I am. I suppose, just like I say, it's gone all right. So
I just think this is the way that we are as people. I think you're a little bit more, like you say, you can't wait for things, you have to do it. I think that also is part of your personality, where you're a little bit older than myself and you're like, fuck it, what have I got to lose? Obviously, you know, Steve, who works with us at the Coach Cast as well, he's out in Australia and he's done the complete opposite and gone, fuck it, I'm going out there.
Yeah.
And he's always like, and you need to come visit, but there's shit to do here as well. And I just think that's the way we are as people. Things need to get done first before we can go and have some fun. We run a fitness retreat, right? Yeah, and over the last...
A very good one,
we might say. But how long was it ago? We were sitting in Shoreditch. Time flies, mate. And we were on the sofa and we went, let's go to Cyprus and do this. Both of us wanted to do some work out there. And we're on to maybe our 6th one now, our 5th one. Yeah. But over that 2, 3, 4 years or whatever it's been time span, I've seen fitness retreats pop up. They're coming out my arse. They're everywhere. And when we said it, I don't think there was many. At least I'd never heard of any. But just capitulise to people how difficult it is to run a fitness retreat, the amount of stress that we go through just to run them, but some of the rewards you get for going out there, not necessarily financial, but it's a lot of work. People think it's just like this VIP thing that you do in another country. And as you spoke about with your gym stuff, it's hard enough just owning a gym. Now you're putting this extra thing on. Why do we do it?
Yeah, so I remember that conversation on the sofa well, mate. It was like 2005, 2014 maybe. Sian and I were traveling to Cyprus. You know, we love working out, so we jumped on a few gyms out there, done a few coastal runs and stuff like that. And I thought, oh, wouldn't this be nice if we took our clients out there as well? And come back and shared that idea with you, found out you were Cypriot, so I thought, oh, this is just meant to be. So yeah, we just a lot goes behind it, you know. What is quite funny, mate, I mean, I've tried my hardest now to come away from you know, commenting on what people are doing on their social media and stuff like that, but you know, it's easy to put nice pictures up on social media and say, yeah, I'm running a fitness retreat, and then, you know, you realize you get the invoice for the villa and for everything else, you think, shit, I've now got to get some people paying me to do it. And for us, it kind of started as an idea that turned into a bit of a recce. So we trialed it with a few clients, and it's taken us, I think this is 5th or 6th time. It's taken us all that time to really, you know, make something out of it. And be that financially or not, you know. It's been hard, you know. You have to trial it to get it right. And at times we've just covered costs, and at times we've had to spend money to make it work. Do you know what I mean? But you just had to write it down as experience, and iron out a few things, you know, what people really want when they go away. What you're dealing with. It's one thing knowing your clients, but like you don't live with them. You don't know what they want in terms of sleeping arrangements and stuff like that. Like I was thinking the other day, like, it's you know, that villa we're in Ibiza was beautiful, but one of the things that would have stood out for me is like rolling over in the first thing in the morning and seeing my bloody friend from the gym. I'd be like, what? So like, you don't think about things like that, you know. So it's just taken time. It's not easy, and the logistics of getting people to come and see you as a trainer or to your gym in the UK is hard enough. So to get them to the airport, over to another country, and organise transport and stuff like that, you know, if it weren't for the stress or like motivating me and pushing me to go sort of get busy and get shit done, and the help of you being able to talk, you know, Greek, I think we would have struggled, you know. But we've kind of gone, you know what, all right, let's give it a bit of time, let's keep doing, you know. At times, mate, I've said to you, and I just think, I don't know if I want to keep doing it.
I was going to say, one of the biggest things that I think people don't realise is it can be quite lucrative to do a fitness retreat. You will make a lot of cash out of it. But what you've got to consider is how much you lose back home. And being two businesses that are quite successful, you make quite a good amount of cash flow. It's not necessarily what we're making in Ibiza or Cyprus, wherever we're doing it. It's what are we losing back home. And if you haven't got the infrastructure back home, which a lot of people who are popping up with these fitness retreats don't have, they don't have the luxury of a gym with systems and whatever. That's when you've got to consider whether it's worth it and why you're doing it, I feel. And that's been the biggest challenge. That's been the biggest challenge for us. And it's taken us, maybe retreat number 4 or number 5 now, where it's starting to look quite lucrative and we're getting large volumes. And you do need that traction of time for people to recognise what the fitness retreat is.
Yeah.
But yeah.
You know it's going to be good. You know it's going to be good. But the clients, you know, they need to buy into that. So it has to happen for a couple of people to go, and then a couple of other clients are going to see that they went and be like, oh, I'd love to go as well. And it just, it takes time, you know.
The other thing I want to just quickly say on it is just realise it's not a holiday. We've often come back after a week and gone,
yeah, right. It was harder than working in the UK.
So, it looks luxurious on Instagram and the rest of it, but obviously we've had tremendous memories from like some of the things we've done with clients to get into the hotel and the uniform didn't fit, or it's a stringer and we just look like it's great memories, but it's a lot of work, and that's what I'm trying to get across to people who are maybe considering it. You're going to have to work hard for it. Just quickly touch on kickboxing. You are Mr. Kickboxing for me. If anyone asks me about boxing, there's only 2 people that I recommend. It's my friend Jack, who you know also, and yourself. But how much of an influence does that have on your personal practice back home?
Yeah.
What does it do for you? Just let people know, because obviously sport's a big part of my life as well.
Yeah. Discipline, mate. Discipline, to be honest. Taught me a lot as a kid, kept me out of trouble. Sort of born and raised in an area where it was easy to get into trouble. And that sort of, I was always too busy training and doing the sport to sort of get involved in any of it. You know, it also gave me an opportunity to see the world, you know, from working class background. So holidays, we weren't always going on holiday, especially not to America and places like that. So it gave me an opportunity to do that. And with that has come a good work ethic. You know, I've always been taught to sort of keep going, keep working hard. And I've kind of taken that on from my childhood in the sport all the way through to an adult, where now, regardless of whether it was me as a carpenter or me trying to build this fitness brand, if you like, it's just, I've got the discipline and work ethic to make it happen. And it teaches me to be respectful as well, you know, like respect what I do, what people do, what people can do for me. It just made me a good man, to be honest, mate. You know?
I mean, if I was to cut one little thing about what you said, the whole thing to do with sport is that it makes you respectful. Being in many dressing rooms, going around many competitions like yourself, you get around people from different backgrounds, and if you're not respectful, you're quite quickly the one that's squeezed out. And I feel that's what carries over to what we do in everyday life now. Just lastly, because obviously you're a busy man, I need to let you go. You got shit to do. Proudest moment. I know what your proudest moment is from a family perspective, or at least I think I do. But from a working perspective, what is the proudest moment that you have had as Jay Benedetti and then as Onpoint Training?
So proudest for me, proudest for Onpoint is, I suppose, seeing people walking around the streets wearing your tops and speaking, like praising what you're doing over at the gym, and inviting their friends and family. We've got a lot of husbands and wives and partners that train here together. So I think as my family has grown, so has the family aspect of what we do here at Onpoint. So seeing that, and that's only been recent, mate, you know, made a lot of mistakes, but sort of now I've kind of channeled or funneled it into what I think it really should be, and the family aspect is growing. So that's a proud moment. Personally for me, you know, it'd be easy to say, oh, you know, remember that transformation when I helped so-and-so lose loads of weight and stuff like that. But they are proud moments. Seeing clients transform their lives is always nice, you know, and to be part of that is always a good thing. But I would definitely say something that I've done recently, don't even know if I've told you about it yet, but I'm working with a company called Elsa, and they basically have a school over in Stevenage where they give kids who have been expelled another chance to get back into the schooling systems, stuff like that, to avoid, you know, things like getting into drugs, getting arrested and stuff like that. They come from bad and poor backgrounds, and I've started putting on kickboxing sessions for them. And what that's done is, and a new sense of worth and well-being, performance at the schools, and keeping them off the streets. And that's something that I want to pursue a lot more. I got given a lot of help as a child by, you know, random men and women in London as a kickboxer, and I think now if I can do something to give back like that, that would make me very proud.
It sounds really good. I would say pursue that, because I think knowing you, I think you'd be in your element and things like that. Obviously, I'll let you go because you are busy, but just before you go, if people want to find out where Jay Benedetti is, where can they find you on your socials, websites, etc.?
Yeah, I would say through Onpoint, social media, or Onpoint Fitness Hearts, Facebook, same as well. kind of in a transition of going from Onpoint Training to Onpoint Fitness, but you'll find us one way or another. Onpointtraining.co.uk is our website. Me personally, as you know, I've come off of a few of them, so give myself a bit of peace. I'm on Twitter though, Jay Benedetti. I find Twitter quite short, sharp, and entertaining, and you might find me pop up now and again talking a load of rubbish on the Coach Cast. So you can find me there. But more than happy to communicate with any of you or your followers, you know. So and obviously when Andy does the retreats, you'll catch me out there.
That's it. Awesome, mate. Well, what I'll do is stop the recording and hopefully it saves, but something's telling me that memory might run out.
No worries. No worries.
All right, mate. Cool.
All right, pal. Speak soon, yeah?
Bye, mate.